It's a stiff! I'm setting booty traps! Hi, everybody. I couldn't help it. I actually had to quote this movie, of course, now that I've gotten the fun quotes out of the way. Yep. This is a movie that I actually have been wanting to talk about for a while, and this is The Goonies. The Goonies is an action-adventure fantasy film that came out back in 1985, and great plethora of people that were involved with this movie. Steven Spielberg, the great late Richard Donner, even Chris Columbus, who did the screenwriting. So, anyway, Goonies is a bit of a childhood favorite that I grew up with, even though this movie came out in '85, like I said, 2 years before I was born. So, overall, it's basically about a group of kids who call themselves the Goonies that are about to lose their homes because a land developer is coming in to basically foreclose on all their homes, so they're basically being forced to move. But then Mikey, I'm assuming that's him in the middle there because I don't even look like Sean Astin. Is that even supposed to be Sean Astin? Because I don't even look like him. It's weird. But he discovers in his attic that there's a treasure map that actually leads to a massive hoard of gold being kept by the great pirate One-Eye Willie, or One-Eyed Willie. Sorry. And ultimately, they decide to go on an adventure to try to find this treasure in the hopes of, scaring these land developers off so they can keep their home with the amount of money that they'll find there. But unfortunately, they run across a group of criminals called the Fratellis, led by Mama Fratelli, played by the late, great Anne Ramsey. And of course, they have to try to stay one step ahead of the Fratellis while they endure traps, and they go through underground caves and ultimately come across a pirate ship with all the wealth they need to save their homes. So basically, yeah, it's actually a fun little action adventure movie, and since the new Indiana Jones is coming out this coming Friday, I figured before I started diving into the Indiana Jones marathon, which I am now, I figure, well, this is no better opportunity to throw the Goonies in because this movie is also about adventure, exploration, and searching for treasure. So. And the fact that Steven Spielberg, who worked on all the Indiana Jones movies, was also behind the Goonies as well. The Goonies is just full of so much fun, so many great one-liners. Of course, like I said, the character Sloth, Mama Fratelli's disfigured son, who of course does say the immortal phrase, "Hey, you guys!" Actually sounded pretty good, didn't it? But the Goonies themselves, many of the actors that played the Goonies, many of them have gone on to become incredible, well-known today. Like Mikey, one of the youngest, is played by Sean Astin, who of course would go on to be Samwise Gamgee in the Lord of the Rings trilogy. His older brother Bran, played by Josh Brolin, which by the way, this was their first movie. This was Josh Brolin's first movie, of course, would go on to become Marvel's most hated villain, Thanos, in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It's crazy that Samwise and Thanos were both together in the same movie. Of course, Mouth, played by Corey Feldman, who, of course, at the time had just come off of doing Friday the 13th, the final chapter. And because he was so busy with this movie is the reason why he barely appeared in Friday the 13th, Part 5. But, of course, then he would go on to be in Stand By Me, The Lost Boys, and, of course, became good friends with the late Corey Haim. Data, of course, played by Huy Quan, who had just come off of shooting Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom with Steven Spielberg. This is Carrie Green, of course, who plays Andy, Bran's love interest. She, the following year after the Goonies, she would actually work with Corey Haim in the high school drama film Lucas. Martha Plimpton, who was also the only other female Goonie, by the way. I've seen her in a couple of films here and there. Jeff Cohen, the kid that played Chunk, as far as I know, this is the only movie I'm familiar with him. Not long after he's like the one that changed the most by far, because nowadays he doesn't even look anything like what he used to as a kid. He actually doesn't act anymore. He's now I believe he's an attorney, I think. So, yeah, and of course Anne Ramsey, who played Mama Fratelli, probably one of her most famous film roles, who, of course, would go on to be in Throw Mama from the Train, the film that got her an Academy Award nomination for Best Supporting Actress. And, of course, horror fans will recognize her from Wes Craven's Deadly Friend. And, of course, she has one of the most wild, over-the-top death scenes in which her head literally is flattened all over a wall by a freaking basketball. Oh, it's insane. It's funny how Cary Green went on to appear in the movie Lucas. Sean Astin went on to appear in a movie also about football, of course, Rudy, which was actually a great film from the 90s. Actually, a great movie, by the way. But yeah, it's incredible. Richard Donner, of course, he needs no introduction because he is probably got to be one of the best filmmakers who have ever lived. I mean, he made probably one of the most terrifying horror films of all time with The Omen, and of course directed the movie that pretty much kickstarted the entire comic book superhero genre, Superman. And of course, he right after the Goonies started working on Lethal Weapon, all the Lethal Weapon movies. And the same year the Goonies came out, he also worked on Lady Hawk. Came out the same year. Steven Spielberg and Chris Columbus had collaborated previously on Gremlins the year before the Goonies. And funny thing is, in the movie, there's actually a Gremlins reference where Chunk is talking to the sheriff, and the sheriff's like, "Yeah, just like the time you told me about all those little creatures that multiply when you throw water on them." There's even a great Superman reference at the end when Sloth fights his two brothers. He rips his shirt off to reveal another shirt with the Superman logo on it, and you can briefly hear the John Williams Superman theme. And I'm like, oh, of course they had to throw that in there because Richard Donner directed Superman for one thing, and the other, both movies were produced by Warner Brothers. So Harvey Bernhard, who actually worked with Richard Donner on The Omen, believe it or not. So yeah, I mean, this movie is so much fun. When it debuted in 1985, it was a fairly decent hit at the box office. It actually made a decent amount of money, and it was a rather profitable film for Warner Brothers when it came out. So it was also one of the top box office earning movies of '85. But then again, Warner Brothers had a lot of movies come out in '85 that actually made a pretty decent amount of money. Like Steven Spielberg actually worked on a movie that came out that year that did pretty well, The Color Purple. Also that same year we had Police Academy 2, Pee-wee's Big Adventure, all of which were profitable films at the box office. And so was the Goonies. The Goonies did not receive any major award nominations except for maybe Saturn Awards, which Anne Ramsey, by the way, picked up the Saturn that year the following year in '86 when the movie got nominated, she actually won the Saturn for Best Supporting Actress. Jeff Cohen, Chunk, was nominated for Best Performance by a Younger Actor. So, yeah, like I said, this movie is a lot of fun. Endless quotes. The kids actually all do a great job, and of course, like I said, it definitely feels like an Indiana Jones film, but kind of tamed down for kids this time. So, like I said, the kids going around searching for buried treasure. I mean, it's incredible. All right, enough of that. Let's talk about the Blu-ray. The Goonies. This is like the simple cheap case Blu-ray. I think I bought this in like a $7 bin at Walmart, so I got it pretty cheap. And the Goonies has been released countless times on home video. I've actually owned a DVD release prior to the Goonies, so honestly, the DVD looked pretty good, and it came with a decent selection of extras, which is pretty much the same batch that was included with the DVD release. I watched it on VHS growing up, watched it on DVD, and now finally acquired it on Blu-ray. No doubt it's also in 4K. But the Blu-ray, there's like so many versions available. There's like a 25th anniversary collector's edition. It's like a big box that has like a bunch of collectibles inside, like a fold-out map and a fold-out board game and all that. For those of you that have it, you know exactly what I'm talking about, but this is the only version I own. So the picture quality on the disc, it's not bad. I mean, I have seen better, but I also have seen worse. And honestly, The Goonies is, pretty decent for a movie of its age. I mean, given that it's, 1985, and given that about in 2 years, this movie's going to be 40 years old. So, it's crazy. So, yeah, the video quality's not bad. I mean, it looks pretty decent. It has a bit of grain here and there, but over that, the movie actually looks pretty darn good. I would say out of 5 stars, I'd probably give the video a 4. And it's presented in two 4x1, so widescreen Panavision. So honestly, it looks really good. As for the audio, it's presented in we got a multitude of tracks here. Got Dolby True HD 5.1, Dolby Digital 5.1, English 2.0, French 2.0, and Spanish 1.0, Espanol 1.0. Of course, I listened to the Dolby HD track, and honestly, it sounds pretty good. I don't know. Yeah, it sounds about as good as the movie looks, on the disc. So for the most part, I would say, not bad actually. So I would say out of 5 stars, I'd probably also give it a 4. As for the bonus features, like I said, it's practically the same batch of material that's it's pretty much the same batch of extras that were included with the DVD release, but a couple of additional things. Now, starting off, we get a audio commentary with director Richard Donner and select cast members. Well, select is not the word I'd say. All 7 of the Goonies are talking about the movie. And it's actually fun to hear all of them interact. Yeah, all 7 of them are actually included with director Richard Donner as they talk about the movie. And it's actually a lot of fun to hear them talk about their own film, looking back on this movie. But the commentary, I think, was recorded back in 2001 when the movie first came out to DVD. And it says here there's hidden video treasures. Now, the cool thing about the Blu-ray is the DVD, when you access the commentary, the video features pop up whenever they are supposed to pop up. But on the Blu-ray, however, these can be accessed individually. So you can actually listen to the commentary while the movie's playing, and you can just, turn off you can access the video features individually, which is pretty cool. You couldn't do that on the DVD. That's pretty awesome. It doesn't say that on the back here, but on the Blu-ray, you can actually access the video commentary. The video commentary is, by the way, it's the exact same as the audio commentary, but the video commentary you can access individually, which is pretty cool. The making of featurette, it's about 7 minutes long. It's basically a little comprehensive featurette that was made during the film's production, so it's going to show its age and look. There's some outtakes, like material that was filmed but ultimately left out. There's a scene in the movie in which the Goonies mentioned that they were battling a giant octopus, which, by the way, in the movie never was seen. I think in the outtakes there's actual footage of the octopus attack. Cyndi Lauper, The Goonies Are Good Enough music video, which briefly appears in the movie, which is actually a fun music video. It's definitely worth looking at. Even has it has all the Goonies show up at one point. Even I heard Steven Spielberg even cameoed in it too. Actually, I want to say they actually did film some. I can't remember if they filmed behind the scenes stuff on the movie. On the video. I'm not sure. It says here soundtrack remastered by Dolby Digital, Dolby True HD 5.1. When I saw that on the back here, I thought the Blu-ray contained the entire soundtrack on CD. I mean, the entire soundtrack is a bonus feature, but as far as I know, I don't think that's on there. And also included is the film's trailer. So honestly, this is actually a nice batch of material to weave through, but the commentary is by far the best feature because seeing all the Goonies talk is incredible. And watching the video commentary at the same time, it's pretty cool. So that definitely, I would say out of 5 stars, the bonus features get a 3.5. So it's actually not bad. But for those of you that got the 25th anniversary edition, probably have to bump that one higher than that because the collectibles that come with it are pretty cool. So from what I've heard, I never owned it, but I've looked up info about it, so that's pretty neat. So all in all, this is actually a pretty solid release of the film on Blu-ray, especially for a standalone. But the 25th anniversary edition, the only gripe I have, well, the thing about it is, in the Blu-ray release, it's the exact same disc as this one here. Nothing new, nothing different. The Blu-ray and the 25th anniversary edition is exactly the same. The only difference is the packaging and all the collectibles that come with it. So I would end the review here, but there's actually one other thing I gotta show off here. I'm actually very proud of this. About 4 years ago, in 2019, I actually attended a Steel City Comic Con. I still have the roster here, the program guide, and these are all the people that were there. Actually met quite a few people. Yes, Billy Zane, met him. Corey Feldman from the Goonies, I did not see him there, but I did see Huy Quan. Walter Koenig of Star Trek, I met him there. Tom Berenger is on here somewhere. Oh, there he is. Yeah, we met him. Me and my mom met him. He was a really cool guy. So, yeah, we met a few people. So, yeah, like I said, I still have the roster. So, yeah, I got to, as soon as I saw Huy Quan on the roster, I had to meet him. And I got to talk with him a little bit. He was a really awesome guy. And what's even better is I have an autograph here of him. This is one of the pictures of, obviously, from the Goonies. You can barely see it here, but this is actually his autograph signature, which is pretty awesome. I feel like I might have to make it my life work to actually track down the remainder of the cast here, find Sean Astin, Corey Feldman, and Jeff Cohen, and get them to sign. And, of course, Ann Ramsey being a photobomber in the back. Unfortunately, I can't get her to sign because she actually, sadly, passed away 3 years after the Goonies came out. So, but, yeah, Huy Quan, great guy. Great to talk to, and it's kind of crazy how, he went from doing Indiana Jones Temple of Doom and the Goonies to basically appearing in Everything Everywhere All at Once and scoring a Golden Globe and an Oscar for Best Supporting Actor. So honestly, I still have to say congratulations, Key, and you're an awesome guy, and love meeting you, and congratulations on your victory this year. You definitely deserved it. So, just have to put that out there. So, yeah, it was awesome that I actually got to meet a Goonie in person. And also, I have to point out that Jeff Cohen, Chunk, was actually still in touch with Huy Quan. And from what I've heard, Jeff Cohen actually helped Huy Quan get the acting gig to work on Everything Everywhere All at Once. I believe so. So in that case, Jeff, thank you, buddy. You did a great job. I would really love to meet the rest of the Goonies in person one day. And like I said, this is a great movie that definitely is a part of my childhood. So thank you, Steven Spielberg, Richard Donner, Chris Columbus. Thank you for making this wonderful, and the rest of the people that were involved, thank you for making this wonderful movie. And if you haven't had the chance to watch this movie, highly recommended. Definitely check this movie out. It's a lot of fun. It's definitely a great movie for the kids to watch. I showed this movie to a buddy of mine who is a big fan of the film, and we showed it to his stepson, and he was a bit terrified of the film at first, especially with the character Sloth, but we had to keep reminding him, no, he looks terrifying, but he's not a bad guy. He's actually awesome. Rocky Road, chocolate, and of course, hey, you guys! All I gotta say is, if you haven't seen The Goonies, I highly recommend you check this movie out. It is so much fun. You can easily get it on Blu-ray in whichever flavor you prefer. Blu-ray, DVD, 4K, all of them are pretty cheap to get a hold of. Well, I know the Blu-ray for a fact. You should be able to find this one pretty cheap anywhere, Amazon or eBay, wherever you choose to go. But I would definitely definitely recommend picking up a copy of the movie. You will not regret it. Highly, highly recommend this movie. The picture quality on the disc is actually not bad. The audio is also good. The extras are actually, there's not a lot here, but again, it's all about quality over quantity. And the quality of the extras are great. So, once again, highly recommended. So, this concludes the presentation, and I hope you enjoyed it. And I will continue to do more videos like this in the days to come. And if you like this content, don't forget to hit like and subscribe to my channel. So until then, everybody take care and be safe.